This session is just reviewing rigour in qualitative research. So we know that there are three types of rigour. There's procedural, analytical, and overall rigour or trustworthiness. So the first is procedural rigour, and this is used in data collection strategies. So as the researcher, you need to clearly describe the procedures that you used to undertake the data collection. So how did you gain access to the site? How did you actually collect the data itself? Did you train the data gatherers if there were other people than yourself? How long were you in the field, and how much time did you spend with each person, and how much data was collected overall? So you need to describe all of the sources of information that you had and all the tasks that you undertook to collect the data. And from this, the reader can determine the level of procedural rigour you used in study. Now, analytical rigour is about describing how the findings emerged from the data. So what methods did you use to analyse the data, and were they appropriate? So did you use a constant comparative method if you had a grounded theory study? Did you use something similar to Van Manen's thematic analysis if you did phenomenology? Was the analysis inductive? So is there evidence of codes, categories and themes emerging from the data? So did you organise the data inductively? And are the findings that we're reading or hearing about consistent with the data that you're presenting? And are they reflective of the data as well? Trustworthiness, which you should by now know very, very well from all the critical reviews that you've done. So this is our overall rigour, and there are four components: credibility, transferability, dependability, and confirmability. And we'll look at each of these in turn. Now, for credibility, the question being asked by the reader is, are the descriptions and interpretations by the researchers reflective of the participants' experiences? So basically, how believable are the findings? And as a reader, you will base this on knowing or reading in the article, the researcher's article, the period of data collection, the variety of methods that were used, the reflectivity of the researchers, is that evident? Was triangulation of the data used, and was there member checking, and when? Was it done during the process, at the end of the data analysis process? Was it done more than once? Was it done with all the participants? Was it done with the selection? All of those things, the more the better, add to the credibility of the data, or of the findings, I should say, the overall rigour. So transferability, the question being asked is, can the findings be transferred to other contexts? And we know that as a reader, that the more detail there is of the description of the participants and the setting or context, the better we are able to determine whether the concepts that the researchers are presenting are applicable to perhaps our clients or our patients. So can the findings be transferred, and can they be transferred to populations of people that we know or we may know about? Dependability, is there consistency between the data and the findings? So the data that's presented by the researchers, is it consistent with the findings or the interpretation that is presented by the researchers and the connections with the literature? So we need to know if there is a clear explanation, or we need to see is if there is a clear explanation of the research process, of the data collection, of the data analysis, and of the data interpretation. And we need to be able to see an audit trail. So to be able to locate the decision points that the researchers made along the process of data analysis, and even during data collection, if they slightly changed the sorts of questions they were asking or the people that they were asking them of. There was a decision point that made a change. Can we see that? And okay, we can follow that. That makes sense that they did that. When they were doing the analysis, they mentioned that they started finding something unexpected. So this changed the way that they thought about the data or the sort of literature they were looking at. Often you might only find that in an article that the researchers will say an audit trail was developed, and they may have no more room than that, but you should be able to, if you're concerned, email the researcher and say, can you give me some detail on this? It also helps if there has been a peer review process during the analysis. So was the data and the analysis reviewed by either a colleague, was there a team of researchers, or was an expert used in the review process? All of these help with the dependability. Now the final one is confirmability. So what strategies we use to limit bias. And this means, were the findings clearly linked to the data and not just simply a product of the researcher's imagination? So was a journal kept, which implies that there was reflexivity? Was there peer review? Was there member checking? Was a research team used? So it's obviously the more member checking the better on the way through, and that there is more than one researcher. Is even if it's simply two people, it's always better than one, because it is about a checking process and that somebody else is confirming, yes, this is what I understand as well. Okay, so rigour is procedural, analytical, and trustworthiness, and you're looking for these in all your journal articles, and also that you make sure that the strategies for rigour are embedded in any of the qualitative research projects you carry out. So if you're looking at the comparison, this is a comparison between qualitative and quantitative, and it's just to help you perhaps understand the difference and, well, more likely the similarities in the terms that are used. So we use credibility, quantitative research uses internal validity. Transferability is external validity in quant research. Dependability is reliability, and confirmability is similar to objectivity in quantitative research. Thank you.